Hey everyone. So excited to be here with you guys. I know we're joining a little short, a little late. So I do have some things we can jump right into. Let me just pull this up because I want to share some information with you guys. I'm excited to share some info. Um, and if you guys have questions, just drop them in the comments. I'm here to help. So let's get started. So let's talk about auto loans versus auto lease. I know that that was the topic of conversation this week, so I want to talk about that. Um, and let's have these conversations. And we are. Let me see if can I share my screen. Can I share my screen? So before we share our screens and we do all the other stuff, I want to talk about like what are the differences between auto loans and auto leases and what comes out of them and why are they so different, are they important, and that's important for us to discuss. So what are those differences? What are the pros and cons of auto leases and auto loans? Right, auto loans are usually seen with people that are looking to purchase a car. They drive long miles. So if you're someone who probably drives your car very quite often, like myself, I tend to lean towards auto loans, just because the fact that I do drive long distances. I do drive quite often. So it tends to be better for me to be able to get an auto loan versus an auto lease. Auto lease, there's restrictions on mileage, there's restrictions on like, nicks and stuff on your like if there's any damages on your vehicle, you are responsible for those damages because you're kind of like borrowing the car for an extended period of time from the dealership that you purchased it. And lately they've actually been putting some restrictions on what what you can do with that auto lease. Like before, you can actually like turn it in anywhere to different dealerships. Now they're actually putting restrictions on that because they want to make sure that they get the car back, in the place that they got the, like if you borrowed the car from a Ray Cantina in Edison, New Jersey, Ray Cantina wants that specific car back. Now, this is just an example. Every dealership works differently. Every maker, manufacturer works differently. So make sure that you have these questions when you're looking to purchase an auto lease, because usually that's the case. Now, a lot of people that lean towards auto leases are people that like to change their cars quite often. They tend to be the person that has the three, like they want to borrow the car and within a certain time frame, give the car back. They're not everyday extensive drivers. They're not driving long periods or long distances because they tend to be okay that their mileage is being calculated, because you have only a certain amount of mileage that you can use with an auto lease. So when we look at that, we can distinction, like everyone has a different scenario, right? Everyone has a different scenario, and depending on the market, just like in houses, like a home equity or a home line of credit, auto loans and auto leases are for different audiences, right? There were products created for different audiences, and they have had change. They have changed throughout the years, based off of what is needed. Like with an auto lease, um, a lot of people now are. I don't want to say that they're not, within like during the COVID time period, they were not the favorable option, just because cars were selling way over sticker price. So they actually were coming out to be more expensive than actually financing a vehicle. But the difference is that when you finance a vehicle, after 3 years, you're still responsible depending on the term of that loan for that car, right? If you decide to buy out the car, meaning you're looking to, you have the option at the end of that auto lease to buy out that vehicle. If you choose to not buy out the vehicle, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you probably will have to just give the car back, right? So if you could take out a 3-year lease, which is very common, at the end of that lease, if you decide that you're not going to buy out the vehicle, meaning you're not going to finance the vehicle, which is, it'll turn into what would be an auto loan, right? Then you are just giving the car right back, and then you're putting down a deposit for another vehicle. So over the years, I think the lease option, a lot of people liked it for a long time because it used to be a lot more affordable than, and a lot more the payments tended to be not as expensive as an auto lease, because usually auto leases included the interest rate and the principal of that loan period. And then you would usually, like, if you had equity in your vehicle, you could use your car, your auto loan, you could use that as a collateral for maybe a loan. Or if you're using it and you're going to use your car and continue to use it, you'll still find the value. Like, you'll get the most for your money. But if you're someone that's not you, like, you're like, listen, I know this car is known, it's very nice, it's very, what I need right now. But at the end of the day, I know that in 3 years, I'm gonna need something different. That is a great option for you. Um, and those are the differences. I think that they tend to have their audience. Um, but like I said, over the last few years, there's been a lot of changes with the auto lease industry. Just because cars for a while during COVID were selling way over sticker price, and I don't think they've really come down. I mean, I don't work in a dealership, but I know that the prices are very different than they were before COVID. And lending restrictions have also changed. So for us, that's one of the reasons why we are very mindful when people are taking leases, because leases are a lot harder to also get approved for. So they tend to need better credit to get approved for them, because you're really just borrowing the car. That's what you're really doing. You're borrowing the car, and then eventually giving back. It's very interesting because over the last few years, I feel like there's been a lot of options, and I can share some with you guys. Let me see if I have some here. There's been a lot of options of cars. Let me see, is this here? Okay. There's been a lot of options of subscriptions. Like, there's this new concept and this new trend of car subscriptions. And I think it's a very fascinating thing to look at, because car subscriptions, I think, is the way of the future. That's just my professional and personal opinion. I think that leasing, while it was the way into that, I think that eventually it'll have, unless they're able to come up with more favorable rates, it's just starting not to make sense. Because if I am paying most of the car for the next 3 years and I still have to give you the car back, right? That kind of defeats the purpose of the whole point of me getting the car, right? It's like I'm paying the car, and people are like becoming really savvy, right? With the information. So they realizing, like, hey, I'm pretty much paying off the car, right? When if I would have just paid this amount of money, I probably would have had the car, right? And then I'm just handing it back, right? And then I have to come up with another deposit. So although I think the concept is great, at least when it was more affordable, now that they're about the same price point, unless you really just want to, like, not be responsible for the car, not have that obligation, you don't care about the mileage, you just want to be able to drive the car that you want to drive at the cost that you want to, like, be able to just give it right back in 3 years and not feel that obligation of, like, now I own this car, now I own the problems, I know I own the depreciation of this vehicle. I think that I'm not a fan of it. Me personally, I just don't see. I think the math is just not starting to make sense. But I do want to show you guys some options that are becoming very popular. Porsche actually dropped a a subscription. So even luxury brands are now dropping subscriptions. There's also something called Fin Go. There's another one called Simple Car. But this is very interesting. So I'm just gonna share with you guys. So Porsche dropped this, and it's actually available in a lot of states. It's a monthly subscription program. So now cars are starting to get into a subscription. You can actually, instead of being responsible for, like, all these, like, cars and, like, having to pay, and some of these actually come with their own insurance, so you don't even have to worry about insurance, right? And what's good about this is that once that term is done, like, if the least part of, like, not having the responsibility, and you don't want the responsibility of having to report things continuously on your credit, or am I going to be able to afford this later on, or do I want to pause this, or there are so many options with these vehicles, but I'm going to show you guys a few. So and these, I think these eventually will start overtaking the lease industry, just because there's less commitment. And I think that that's what I think a lot of auto lease people that tend to lean to auto lease prefer. They just like the idea of not having to overcommit for longer periods of times than they have to, right? And I also think, like, on the in the credit space, this is great because I saw some options like Sixth Plus, which Sixth is known for like rental cars, like for vacationing. They actually are getting into this market called Six Plus, and they actually have a pause feature. So like you won't get charged for the months you pause your subscription, which is awesome. And some of them have terms, but they're usually like 6-month terms, 12-month terms. So if you're looking to get into something and you're like, you know what, I don't know if I just want to try this car out. If I actually make the purchase, you can actually try these cars out for a year. But like the Porsche option here, they have a multi-vehicle subscription and a single vehicle subscription. Um, the multi-vehicle subscription allows you to switch vehicles as often as you like throughout the month, which is incredible, right? Like they allow you to switch your vehicle as many times as you want, and you can have different forms of this vehicle. So you're paying $4,000 a month plus tax, right? Which is, that's the cost of it. And then you have $2,000, 2,000 miles a month. So again, there goes to the idea of having limitations. But what's very interesting about this is, technically on this plan, you would literally have way more miles than the average auto lease um contract. And again, this is an exotic option. I mean, this is a luxury vehicle, but at the end of the day, it kind of puts things in perspective where, if you're looking for a lease option and you're looking in the $1,000 price range or $2,000 price range of vehicles, and you're a Porsche lover, this may be an option for you, right? Because you can swap in and swap out as many times as you want, right? So, and it also covers insurance, it covers roadside assistance, it covers any vehicle maintenance. So you have nothing to worry about, just like a vehicle lease. And there's complimentary delivery and pickup available within the 20 miles of the Porsche dealership, which is awesome. So they'll drop your car off, they'll pick up the other car. So these are some of those options. And then they have the single vehicle subscription. And the single vehicle subscription allows you to choose one vehicle the entire month, right? And you can extend it and continue to drive it and just change it up and try another model in the Porsche linership the following month, right? And that's $1,800 a month, right? Plus tax based on the vehicle selection. And then you have 1,500 miles per month, insurance, roadside assistance, vehicle maintenance, concierge service. So you're getting a lot, and these are the states that are currently available: Arizona, California, Georgia, Illinois, Kentucky, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Texas. And I think they're actually about to I think they're about to expand. I read somewhere, but again, these are some of the vehicle options that they have: the 911, the 718, the Panamera, the Taycan, the Cayenne. So there's so many options. So I think this is a phenomenal option for those people that are already spending the, $1,800 price point. Now, I'm assuming with Porsche, you have to always have good credit, because obviously they're lending you your vehicle on a subscription. There's probably some driver also requirements as well. But again, if you're looking to do some of these options, I think they're great options instead of the lease option. And again, there's nothing wrong with leasing. I just find that it's becoming an industry where, unless the price points change, and this is an option for you, it's going to be very challenging to get a price point that works for you, that makes sense. And the reality is, you're paying most of the car up front, right? In an auto loan, you tend to pay it. the amortization schedule works usually on a bell curve. You tend to pay a lot more towards interest in the beginning, and then principal. And then as you get towards the middle of the loan, it starts to swap, right? And that is where, and some of them don't have prepayment penalties. But again, not everybody wants to own their vehicle. Not everybody wants to, they don't want to marry the problems, they say, right? They don't want to have the vehicle, even though there is equity, building in the vehicle, meaning there even and there's a lack of depreciation. I guess the vehicle is depreciating. Um, and when I mean equity, like gaining equity, meaning like as you pay the car off, and you're still using it, it's starting to make more sense if you get more use out of the vehicle. So that's what I mean when I say the equity, not necessarily like equity in the vehicle, because I know vehicles are very depreciating. However, I do believe that that's what steers people away from the loan, because after the 4 years, the 5 years that you're done paying it, and the car starts to have issues, now you're still with the problems, right? Like if the car starts to break down and you have to do certain maintenance issues, that's what people try to that's what I think people liked about the lease. Drop a comment if you agree, if what gears you towards leases, if you're a lease person, if you're a loan person, what gears you towards loan. It's super important for us to know, so that we can create these videos for you guys, so we know what the audience needs and what it looks like, right? Because it's good for us to know. So I want to go over the Sixth Plus rental car membership. I thought it was very interesting. I think it's a great option again. So I'm just gonna share guys my screen. And here we see that they actually have like different cars. Now, this is gonna give you a different option. And again, they promote it like you can pause your loan. So like, let's say you don't know if you want to commit. Let's say, things, you don't want the commitment of a loan. And it tends to be usually the case, that people are like, I don't know if I want the commitment of that loan long term. You can browse right now. They show about 14 vehicles here, but this is some of the vehicles you can get and the price points. And as you can see, you can have like an i5 for $800 a month, right? But what's awesome about this, and this is why I tell people, it's like, you can cancel on a monthly basis. You quick approval process. They often upgrade your higher mileage, right? Like how many miles can you drive on this? It includes 1,000 free miles, right? And then maintenance and services included. Always drive current or last model. So they have tons and tons of options. I think it's a great option for people that just don't want that commitment with auto loan or auto lease, especially in these times where just things may feel a little uncertain for you. Or you just may say, you know what, I'm looking, I don't know what my expenses are going to look like in a year or two. And I want to make sure I cover that. So I like these options. There's others. There's this company called Fin as well that I can show you. Volvo also has an option. And let me show you guys Volvo. Volvo, it's called Volvo Cares. Right? Volvo Cares. I think. Yeah. Volvo Care subscription. And I want to show you guys what that looks like. Now, again, some of them do require a time frame because they want to make sure that um you stay with them at least a certain time. This one I think does. I just want to share you guys. So here you'll see it's all inclusive, right? You can change car or cancel with just 3 months notice. Okay, one fixed monthly payment. And you can change or cancel. They give you a warranty for 3 years or 60,000 miles, roadside assistance, home delivery, drive away insurance. Insurance covers for 7 days from the moment you drive away. Volvo Car app, loan a replacement when your car needs service or repair. Yearly inspection, pickup, delivery, car switch. So they're really, I just think that this is an area where it could potentially eventually, I believe it's going to expand, because I think this is the way of the future. And I think that, like they have so many different options. And like, again, if you're trying to lease or, purchase whatever it is that you're trying to do, the fact that they're creating these type of solutions that I think will be awesome for people that like even don't want to really co-sign, right? Like this is a better option, I think. Just my opinion. Um because I think that this unless that product or the prices start to change with the lease, I think this will start taking over that market because now you can have a car, cancel, subscribe. When it comes to loans, auto loans, I think auto loans are there's always going to be a market for them just because some people just like to own their cars. Like myself, I love to own my car because I drive so many miles. And I don't want the restriction of saying, hey, I can't use my car for this. Now, does that mean, people will say, well, you don't have a problem with commitment? I guess not, because after a few years, it's so true. Like you may have to fix things and, it is your responsibility at that point. But to me, it's like if you got your use out of it, then why not, right? But again, there's so many options. When it comes to auto loans per se, there are refinancing options that you can use. You can use your car as a collateral if you paid it in full. So if you have a vehicle that you're like, you know what, people say it's a depreciating asset. It is. So you're never going to get what you paid for it out of it. But if you are in a place where you're like, you know what, I need to take out a loan or my credit is not great and I have this collateral, and it could be a vehicle, you have it paid in full because you already paid off the auto loan, right? You can't do that with a lease. Um, then you can actually take out a loan against the vehicle and put a loan and use that as collateral. And that tends to be a better option for those that are still trying to repair their credit. So I hope this helps. I know, like, auto loans, auto leases, there's like a community for both. But I truly believe that, we have some really cool options coming, and I actually want to see where this goes. So again, I don't know if I put out my name earlier, but Erica Stevens from AltoCredit. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, I'm here to help. We also will put our information below. We do have a community. Come join our community, the Alto Credit community. We have a partnership with Score Tribe, which is our credit monitoring service that we've partnered up with, and they give us access to help people understand their credit, right? With our free Alto Credit community. So if you are someone who's interested, come right over. And we will put that link below. Thank you guys and have a good evening. Bye.